Time is running out right now because the Bitcoin Bollinger Bands are right now on one of its tightest levels in 1.5 years. And while this is exactly happening, we are seeing the M2 money supply exactly break out here. And yes, this has happened many times before, and we know what happens afterwards, right? Bitcoin at the same time is exactly coiling up in this major bull flag pattern. So yeah, things are currently all coming together as we are, of course, witnessing one of the most boring consolidation phases out there. So I'm gonna be exactly break down what this means right now here, because always after long periods of consolidation, after long periods of boring price action, we usually tend to see one of the craziest moves here. So I will be exactly break down the imminent short term, what we're seeing over there, and of course what we're thinking about the market right now. Of course, I will give also a big update on my Ethereum trade that is currently still ongoing, about some very interesting charts that are telling us something about the fundamentals of Ethereum. So don't forget to once again stomp on the like button, back above 1000 likes on today's update video. And let me dive straight away in here. So yeah, to kick off the video, last night we actually saw someone bought over 6,000 Bitcoin worth about 650 million US dollars from an OTC buy here. So whales are still accumulating very large amounts of Bitcoin. Well, yeah, apparently some people are still quite much panicking. And then, of course, yesterday we also had about $200 million worth of inflow on the spot Bitcoin ETF and about $62 million worth of inflows coming in towards the Ethereum ETF here. And if we're going to be looking at Q2 of 2025 here in terms of accumulation, we have seen quite a lot of accumulation happening once again here. In total, about 250,000 Bitcoins were bought from public companies and ETFs in only Q2 2025. And this is still quite a lot here. But of course, if you're going to compare it to Q4 2024, it could have been more here. But still, we are seeing very strong accumulation in Q2 2025 here. Then, of course, still, if we're looking at the liquidity heat map, we can see that there's still liquidity piling up above us, but also some laying below us right now here. So yeah, I am not 100% certain to say, okay, Bitcoin is now going to go to this direction, since, yeah, there's liquidity laying on both directions at this moment of time here. But what I am looking at right now here is, of course, the 4-hourly time frame for Bitcoin. And on the 4-hourly time frame, we, of course, can clearly see the major level of resistance trading above us, which is that 110,000 US dollar level. And then we can see the low where Bitcoin basically bounced from right now. And really what we are seeing basically is that once again, we're starting to squeeze up here, right? We're starting to squeeze up here on this chart, and you can clearly see it over here. We're creating this higher low structure with, of course, that slight little fake out on the lower side right here and that lower high structure on the top side. So basically, Bitcoin is once again creating a new consolidation phase that is about to be breaking out. And whenever we are going to be seeing this next major breakout, we are obviously going to be in for, of course, a very explosive move here. But for me, the most important level to be breaking is 110,000 US dollars. And as soon as we're breaking above that exact level, then I think the massive breakout is going to get started, because that is also the breakout where we've been waiting for, right? The bull flag breakout. And I think this breakout is rather going to be coming sooner than later, because right now, first of all, if we're looking at the Bitcoin volatility index, it is hitting one of its lowest levels of the last year here. And if I'm looking at just purely the Bollinger Bands, first of all, it was the lowest level since February 2024. And now, since even more time has passed, we can see on the Bollinger Band Swift here, which is the chart below us, that we are literally on one of the tightest levels since October 2023 here. So this has been the tightest level in over 1.5 years right now here. So that is, of course, quite insane if you would ask me here. And remember what happened in October 2023. Yes, we saw a big squeeze towards the upside. And that is what always happened. If you see a prolonged period of consolidation and boring price action, eventually you're going to get a very explosive move here. And that is once again what I am also expecting. I am expecting a very explosive move for Bitcoin. What it's going to be towards the upside or downside, that remains to be the question. But personally, I do think if I look at all these charts I'm currently drawing, at all the charts and all the data I currently have available, it looks to be that Bitcoin is most likely going to be moving towards the upside. But of course, if we see another rejection from the high and potentially break below the major level of support, we could be in for, of course, a bigger continuation potentially towards that downside level. But of course, if we clear the resistance on the top side, yes, we are for sure going to be in for an even bigger continuation higher. So yeah, that is, of course, very interesting to be seeing. Then, of course, the M2 money supply here, guys, this is something you really cannot ignore right now here. the M2 money supply is already starting to be breaking out here, and Bitcoin has not catched up yet so far here. But of course, we've seen this happen one time before here, back in September 2024. And of course, eventually Bitcoin catched up here and created a big push towards the upside all the way up to 110,000 US dollars. So yeah, that is quite insane here. Currently, Bitcoin is still chilling over here around 108,000 US dollars, but the M2 money supply is rapidly still increasing. So yeah, I'm very excited for what is about to be playing out next year. But to be honest, I think eventually Bitcoin is going to be for sure catching up once again with that M2 money supply here. And of course, talking about my trade here, I'm still in about $520,000 in profit, and I don't feel any emotion on this trade here because I am so convinced Ethereum is going to be running much higher, not purely from the chart here, but especially from the on-chain data and really from the fundamentals that are playing out here on Ethereum, right? So the chart is already looking very great, right? Fake out on the top side, fake out on the lower side. This is a pattern I've seen so many times before. Then you see a boring consolidation phase, and then you break out towards the top side. And of course, my first take profit target is on the top side of the region, which is a target that I think at least is going to get hit here. Then I will be taking 25% off the table. And then, of course, I lock in already about like 200 or 300K in profit. So that is my first take profit target. But ultimately, we are right now in such a low stage of volatility. Also for Ethereum, just like we've been for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin volatility is at lows, but Ethereum is exactly the same. And historically, always whenever we are at these very low periods of volatility for ETH, it tends to be very great times to be buying, and we tend to be seeing major pushes towards the upside. So yeah, I think the chart is also telling us a very big story here on the daily time frame. You can just clearly see it. Ethereum first created that big move towards the downside, then the reversal towards the upside, then a fake out on the lower side, a retest of the previous low of support, and then now we're bouncing back towards the upside. And of course, it all depends. Can we break above this high right here? Then we're going to be in for a big continuation higher. I mean, if we're looking at the on-chain data from the Ethereum staking and the exchange reserves, I mean, the staked Ethereum is only increasing further on, which means that less and less supply is going to be available to sell. So right now, about 30% of the ETH is literally staked, which is quite insane here. And if we're looking at the Ethereum exchange reserves, yeah, these Ethereum exchange reserves are still falling lower and lower. So ultimately, there's going to be less and less supply available for people to be actually buying ETH here. So all in all, it is looking all so great here. And if we're also looking at the total stable supply here, of course, you can see most of the stablecoins are still built on Ethereum and are still flowing in towards the Ethereum ecosystem as well here. So it is just something you cannot ignore here. And of course, if we're also looking at the top in the last 24 hours, we saw another $130 million worth of stablecoins flow in towards Ethereum. Ultimately, stablecoins is the biggest innovation of crypto, and most of them are all built on ETH here. So it's really a thing that I'm betting on very heavily. It's not the only thing that I am betting on, because yesterday BlackRock bought over $50 million worth of Ethereum again here. And like you can see in the last period, BlackRock have been very aggressively accumulated Ethereum. I really think it's a very bad time to be fading ETH right now here. Indeed, it's very boring, but whenever this is going to be breaking out, it's going to be very crazy here. And my target is $3,000, which is not even a crazy target, but I won't be surprised to see Ethereum move up all the way to $4,000 even later this year. So if you do want to be trading Bitcoin, ETH, or anything else, guys, don't forget to check out the links description of today's video. You can sign up to Bybit in Europe if you're living over there, or sign up to Bybit Global if you're living outside of Europe. But anyways, guys, this is it for me in today's update video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.